The loco is loosely based on the I.M.L.E.C netter design and was built by Dave Tompkins between 2000 and 2003, incorporating a few ideas gathered from previous locomotives. The only castings used were the wheels. Everything else was built up or machined from solid, including the cast iron cylinders. The boiler was built by I.M.L.E Steel. The loco's previous entry in IMLEC at Bristol was a disaster. Dave has no idea why, but decided it would be a good excuse for a change of driver, so he has sacked nephew Paul and will drive himself.
Current project is a kick for the carrier design which he describes as a nightmare, but he's determined to get there in the end. Dave is
did you grab the jungle tape from in there? No. Oh, that's a lot of jungle then. It's not running drop.
for this trip is Chris Orchard.
This sequence will give you a chance to follow the layout of the track from the passenger's eye view. Dave Tompkins has been a lifelong railway enthusiast, and it runs in the family as his father was employed on the permanent way for all his working life. He took up model engineering by building LBSC's Titch in the late 1970s with no machining experience or tuition. Teaching himself as he went along, he finished the Princess Marina in 1990, which was followed by a rail motor and a complete overhaul of the two previous locos. A joint project with Paul Tompkins and I.M.L.E Steel to build a Minx was completed in 2000, and his current project is a King to the Perrier design, which he describes as a nightmare, but he is determined to get there in the end. Dave is a member of the Guildford Model Engineering Society.
So in the steam array at the moment we have Neil Stella with his locomotive getting ready to come on to the track after Dave Tompkins.
following you, you're alright. They're all joined up. Go for it. All joined up, that's it.
Neil's going to start his run.
The Evening Star was brought as a chassis by Reg Hawes of Sidcup, Kent, who completed it but then sold it due to a lack of space, as he had 5 other locos. Neil and his father bought it in November 1994, but since then it has only run 20 or so times. It has been extensively modified with a new regulator, injectors and return cranks to the valve gear. Neil is a member of the Urmston and District MES and is 33 years old, married with 3 children. He is an LGV driver working for XL Logistics. His interest in model engineering started in 1984 when his father bought a part-built Speedy, which with the 9F and B1 comprised their stable of locos. The Britannia to the Perrier design was started by Steve's father, Fred, in the 1970s, but unfortunately he died in 1994 before it was completed. Steve Eaton finished the loco in 1999. It is painted black and numbered 70047, but unlike the prototype, which was unnamed, it carries the name intended by Fred Eaton, Rough Diamond. It was entered in last year's IMLEC and placed 7th. Steve is a member of the Chesterfield Club and started modelling at the age of 12. He is a prolific builder and has completed 14 locos to date. He enjoys the challenge of building and driving small locos and is secretary of the 2.5-inch Gauge Association. He has entered IMLEC several times and has driven the best 3.5-inch gauge loco twice with a Juliet and a Bantam Cock.
Starts making his run. He's run number 18. This is 462 class 7 Britannia.
Oh, this should be the right.
Right.
Lady Margaret is based on the Jack Butler Sweet Pea design and was built over a period of 12 years, with the first run in 1987. Modifications to the original design include a steel boiler, steel tyres and Brem valve gear. After a derailment in the 1991 IMLEC at Bristol, a rear truck was added to improve stability. The Loco has 2 injectors only, no axle or hand pumps. It tips the scales at 240 pounds and covered 321 miles in 2003.
We get ready for the next run.
By the end of 2005, it is estimated that Lady Margaret will have completed over 3,000 miles. Brian Remnant still goes to work in his spare time. He is a driver on the Kent and East Sussex Railway, which takes up a lot of his time, and he is a member of Romney Marsh MES and Maidstone MES. He's currently building a 5-inch Delapre.
Over 3,000 miles. And was built over a period. The dryer now starting to run.
What's he pulling? 37. Don't argue with that.
Well worth it.
David Miles' 3.5 inch is the second locomotive he's built and was completed in 1986. It is based on the Dong Young design with minor modifications to suit David's driving preferences. It has been in regular use passenger hauling on his home track and at various rallies up and down the country. The valve gear was rebuilt about 8 years ago. It has run in 3 previous IMLECs, including the last one at Northampton in 1999 when it was 10th overall.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Brian should have taken on that extra bag of coal to enable him to complete what was up to then a successful run.
Yes, he's on the move. And he's coming back in the rain. It's involved. But he's on the move. So that's what. Brian Revenant, come back in. Deserves a big hand of applause, that.
It's all because it normally comes from
He has run in 3 previous events.
David is a member of the Bracknell Railway Society and has been Chief Engineer Boiler Tester for the last 15 years. This will be his 11th entry into IMLEC. He has completed 6 locomotives to date, including building the boilers, and has 2 further engines under construction at the moment.
And David now starts his run. This is run number 20. The side have got set up in 2005.
Thank you very much.
Approximately 20 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's raffle tickets on sale.
Well, it's all my own fault. I was determined not to take any more coal or anything than £2 that I already had. And I should have done. I picked up a bag a couple of laps before the end. I would have been all right. I got round the other side of the tunnel there, no coal and a very low fire. Just went downhill from there on. That's the story.
Is everybody here for the next run? 22, please come if you're not. So David Mayo finishes his run with his 5-inch 280 LNER Thompson 01.
Put in your actual bottle last week. Pushing it again. Get ready. Yeah, back 4 boxes. I've got 4 of the 8 springs are double. So the engine is now running a lot more stable. Before it came off twice at Kimberley in 2006.
This loco is a combination of the Martin Evans design Nigel Gresley and Springbok to produce a replica of Thompson's rebuild of the Robinson 280s of the GCR. It was built by Glyn Winsell's father Fred in the 1980s and was purchased by Glyn because he couldn't see it leave the family despite having more than enough locos already. Before last year's competition, which he won, Glyn overhauled the motion and fitted a stainless steel dropping grate. Boiler feed is by 2 vertical injectors. Glyn first competed in I.M.L.E.C in 1975 when, aged 14, he drove to second place with his father's Nigel Gresley, the year after his father had won at Bristol. Since then he has competed 14 times, finally winning last year at Kinver with his Locomotive, which this year will be in the previous winners' competition. Glyn is currently building a 5-inch SRU class mogul based on Martin Evans' Ashford design. The Locomotive is the first attempt at building straight from the Martin Evans words and music for the Nigel Gresley design and first ran in 1984. The engine was made by the entrant and has no lost wax or laser cut components. It must have run over 2,000 miles since then, and it has only had an overhaul this winter as the motion banged harder than the full-sized version. The overhaul involved removing everything on the engine, rebushing all the motion, reprofiling the wheels and fitting a hand reverser as the original left-hand drive square thread screw reverser was totally worn out. It is fitted with PTFE rings and a stainless steel brick arch and has the LNER cab and tender, as this is how they will remember. And the final scores will be settled shortly, as I say. Heading back to the Fleet Bay now.
Not much. Sorry.
This is underway for the next driver, Lawrence Tatter. Lawrence Tatton is a retired power station engineer who worked in maintenance throughout his career. He feels it was an excellent industry to work in, coal and steam every day, and wonderful scrap bins.
Lines should basically start pulling west of the station now. Locomotive, first attempt at building straight to the mast end, working music for the night previous time. And it first ran in 1984. And the engine was actually built by Lawrence and had no lost wax or lazy touches.
Thunderer, a 5-inch LMS Jubilee 460 tender locomotive, was designed and built by John. He started the drawings in 1975 after visits to the full-size Jubilee Leander, then at the Dinting Railway Centre, to measure up. John made patterns for wheels, cylinders, horns, etc. and had them cast locally, and the loco was first steamed in September 1994. It was placed 4th in I.M.L.E.C at Northampton in 1996 and 2nd in Super-lec at Birmingham in 1998.
In front of the steaming bay.
John Hurley started on the railway at the age of 15 as a cleaner at Bushbury, Wolverhampton, and after promotion to past cleaner, took numerous firing turns on the ex-LMS locos stabled there. To improve his promotion prospects, he transferred to the ex-GWR shed at Stafford Road and was promoted to fireman at the age of 17. He has fired all classes of GWR locos, including Castles and Kings. He left the railway in 1954 as the carriage of goods switched from rail to road and became a draftsman on boilers, pressure vessels and finally pumps. He was a founder member of the Kinver and West Midlands Society of Model Engineers in 1961 and has been a member since. He finished his first loco, an LBSC 3.5-inch Britannia, in 1963. John also worked as a driver for the Severn Valley Railway from 1971 to 1984.
Number 23 underway, just leaving the station. John Hurley with his locomotive Thunderer, 5-inch LMS Jubilee 460 tender locomotive. It was designed and built by John. Started the drawing in 1975. Size Jubilee Leander, and then at the refreshment area. If anybody would be interested, please have a word with him. So that's a chassis. It's down in the tent. All the lads down there will be able to point it out to you.
John has encountered a problem on the bend approaching the tunnel, and after some help sanding the line, resumed his run.
Well done, John.
More problems mean that passengers have to be lost to enable the run to be completed back to the station.
50, you get them at 5:30, the presentation of prizes. So John Hurley has now finished, has completed his run. And we now have the next locomotive on the track. Will be run number 24. Locomotive owned by Ben Healy.
Bad luck, John. Thanks, mate. Sorry, mate.
Ben Healy has just completed his third loco, a freelance 464 tank, which he built alongside his fourth model, a Jubilee Leander, which he is now concentrating on finishing. The Maid of Kent was the second locomotive he built. Carl Mitchley has been driving since he was 5 years old and passenger hauling since he was 16. He entered IMLEC at Kimber last year with the Maid, but had a problem at the start of the run and could only manage 19th place. He was given a part built to Britannia for his 16th birthday, which he is slowly completing with grandfather Ben's help. Carl has problems as soon as the run begins, when it looks as if the tender has derailed.
Sorry.
Built to the LBSC Maid of Kent design, this 440 loco was built by Ben Healy between 1981 and 1983. It was named Maid Marian after his wife. It's run since then at the Gravesend track and other club tracks in Kent, passenger hauling on public running days and at birthday parties. Carl has been unable to complete his run and discards the passengers and returns to the steaming bay to analyse what went wrong.
He run to a stop, to a halt, and of course he's now come back into the steaming bay. Well, preparations are underway for run number 25. Who's the owner of the locomotive? Ex-Marine.
The Locomotive is a rebuilt Southern Railway Merchant Navy to the Keith Wilson design and is 90% as designed with some add-ons such as a working turbo generator. It took 5 years to build and was completed in 2003. It is named Isle of Man Steam Packet Company Limited, though this name was never carried by a full-size locomotive. Mike Casey is an ex-marine engineer who started building locomotives in 1952 at the age of 16. He's now retired and plans to keep building for as long as possible. Current projects are a 7¼ inch Black 5 and a 5-inch Titfield Thunderbolt. He's a member of the Manx Steam and Model Engineering Club.
If you want to catch a ride on a model steam train, if you'd like to make your way to the middle of the park, walk over the footbridge.
Roger Capel is also a member of the Manx Steam and Model Engineering Club and was a fireman and driver with British Railways at the end of steam before moving to the Isle of Man. He was stationed at Nine Elms and worked with the full-size merchant navies. St Ella is a 5-inch gauge 060 to the Martin Evans Simplex design and was Pete's first attempt at building a loco. It was started in 1990 and finished in 1996 and has been a frequent runner and passenger hauler at the Northampton track since completion. It is now getting a little tired and a full overhaul is planned when the next loco is completed later this year. Pete King is an active member of the Northampton Club and has been a machine tool and robotics engineer since 1962. He turned to model engineering in 1990 when it became too painful to keep falling off trials motorbikes. He has had a lifelong interest in steam, so as an engineer it was a logical progression. He's now working on a 7¼ inch Hunslet which is almost complete. As he prefers driving to building, this could be his last model.
The observers of this
There are still some sandwiches, tea and biscuits available at refreshment. There's still some sandwiches, and tea, biscuits at the refreshment tent here at the front of the site. King is coming through once again. He's got 3 minutes to go. King passes from this run. King comes in and finishes his round.
I've been stressed with that since I got married.
This LNER K1 1260 is named Michaelin Moore and was completed in May 2004 after 15 years in the building. It's based on the Don Young drawings but with modifications designed by Ballon Baker, based on photos and other sources. It has 3 superheater flues with double return radiant elements in each. The blast pipe is adjustable while running.
Well, round number 27, Ballon Baker is underway. This is an LNER K11260 locomotive and it's safe at running on ground.
Ballon is a member of the Lindsay Model Society and the GL5 Association and likes running on ground level tracks. He entered the last IMLEC at Northampton in 1999 with his LNER Y4 040 and achieved third place.
Green ticket, and that is a railway-based puzzle, jigsaw puzzle for you to do. Now it's green 346 350, green 346. Hope you've got that right. It's going to be pretty cool. The next ticket out is yellow, 341. Some alcohol for you this time.
3.5-inch entry Benjamin is an 060 tank designed by local Northampton firm Bassett-Loke. It was built by Bernard from original Bassett-Loke drawings and castings in the 1970s and has been in continuous use since then. It was overhauled in 2000. Bernard Clark has been a model engineer since the 1970s and is an active member of the host club, Northampton Society of Model Engineers. The last time IMLEC was run at Northampton, he entered his Southern D15 and won the award for the best 3.5-inch locomotive. The weekend after IMLEC, he will be holding his 60th birthday party.
Now, since the raffle has been in progress before, Sam Baker come back into the and Bernard Clark, run number 28, which is the last run of the day, is actually on the track. No progress. Going around now, going around the track. Number 28 is Bernard Clark, and he's coming through the station right now. It's a third run, it's the Richard Quicker.
Come on, Nick. I'll see you a bit, just because you go out.
Well, that brings this competition over the 2 days to an end. All 28.
Another IMLEC completed, and now it's time for the presentations, which was undertaken by the Mayor of Northampton.
The end of yet another, I suppose, fraught weekend in some ways, but a very pleasant weekend. Before we get on to the prize giving, I'd like to say a few thanks to primarily the competitors. Without you, we couldn't have held this event. And also the competitors' families who have helped to make it such a good weekend. Also, thanks to all of our club members. It's been a hard, long week. Thanks also to our wives and friends who have supported us. One thing we couldn't have got through the weekend without is the dynamometer car. I think we all owe a great vote of thanks to Carl Bailey and to Garth Porter and their families for all the hard work that's gone into building this unique machine, which has performed admirably over the weekend. Thanks also, if I'm going to single people out, to Steve Winter and Gordon, who helped him on the steaming bay, and all Steve's hard work in putting together all the unloading devices and measuring devices that we used throughout the weekend. Thanks also to the exhibitors and also to the trade stands who have come along and supported us. And finally, thanks to the Borough Council for letting us use the park. That's about all I've got to say. I'm making it short and sweet.
The battery will go.
When are we going to get into the water? I'll hand you over now to David Carpenter, who is the editor of the Model Engineer, who wishes to say a few words, and then we'll present the prizes, and these will be presented by Councillor Sally Birdsworth, the Mayor of Northampton. Over to you, David.
No, Pete. How's that? No, point. How's that? No. No. How's that? No. Come on, Adam. Try that. Try that lollipop.
1, 2.
No. No, it's coming again.
Thanks, Brian.
No.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, have you enjoyed it? I think is the important question. I certainly have.
We can hear you.
It's this is difficult.
Just shout, David.
Just shout.
Let's just tell you a few things. When I started this job, I was told there'd be no company car, there's no company credit card, there are no perks at all, no pension, absolutely nothing, no perks. Well, I think they were wrong, because now and again I do get weekends like this, which is just terrific, it really is. So, if you ask me, would I rather do this or have a new Jaguar with a full salary pension? I'd like to get in a quick commercial for the Model Engineer, because there is quite a serious situation at the moment. there's an EU ruling which means it's likely to be adopted here, and it means that magazines like ours, it will be uneconomic to distribute them through newsagents. So there is an easy answer to this, and it's a very good answer, which is to take out a postal subscription. You get the thing 3 days earlier probably, on average, apart from the last one where we had a little problem. But normally you get it about 3 days earlier and save 25% into the bargain. So a little plea, and I might get an office bicycle as well. No, a company bicycle, that sounds worse. It sounded terrible. Anyway, back to IMLEC 2005. I'd like to echo everything that Brian said, all the thanks, and I'm sure on behalf of everybody here, some big thank yous, some odd ones as well, to the Bacon Sarnie team. Yeah. And everybody else that fed and watered us over the 2 days, absolutely wonderful. And the pig roasters. Okay, if you weren't here last night for the pig roast, you really missed the treat. Thanks to Brian and all the club members, I think the whole 2 days been organised brilliantly, very efficiently, but in a friendly and a most appealing way. Some things, when they're efficient, they get a bit unpleasant, but this has been a very pleasant 2 days, I'm sure, for everybody. Again, club's two geniuses, Mark and Garth, for the dynamometer. I think if this were commissioned commercially, probably looking at something approaching 6 figures for what you've got there. And so it's a very big thank you to those two. Most of all, thanks to the competitors and everybody else here, and our congratulations to the winners. Now it's over now to Mrs. Beardsmore. Give it a try. I'll give it a try.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right.
Not now.
Right into this. Okay. Okay, is that better? Everybody can hear me? Yeah. Because I can't shout. I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me today on this beautiful day. It's super to be here. You have a wonderful team of people that work well for you. But I'd like to say a little thank you to the partners of the people who actually take part in these events, because without their permission and their help and support, I don't think many of you will be here today. I think they want to really support you well, and we ought to be thanking those people that see you on their way, pack the sandwiches and wave you off. And I think they're important to thank as well. But thank you again for inviting me. It's a super event. I hope it goes from strength to strength. You get better and bigger each year, and I'm sure you will. And I'm very happy to present the prizes now.
Let's start, I suppose, with the best class winner, which is Jim Elliott of the City of Oxford with his 5-inch gauge Speedy with an overall figure of 1.286%. Jim. The next prize is for the best 3.5-inch engine, which goes to Alan Bibby with his model Charles, 1.089%.
Well done,
Alan Bibby.
Good reason.
Now we come to the third place in main competition, which is Paul Tompkins with his 5-inch gauge locomotive, which returned figures of 1.146%. Paul Tompkins. For second place, Stevie from Chesterfield with his 5-inch gauge Britannia, which returned figures of 1.733%. Well, now we come to the winner of the main competition, which is Ballan Baker with his 5-inch gauge LNER Monthly of 2.01%. While they're taking the photographs, people, I have an admission to make. I've dropped a massive clanger. And Mr. Jarman didn't spot it either. Did you, Peter? The best past winner? Thank you. Just by chance, we have another rosette. There. So, will you please come up and accept this, and my apologies. Just hang on a minute, please. My deepest apologies for complete and utter particularly when I asked someone else to check the figures.
You'll be smiling when you get the bar bill, mate.
Over the IMLEC flag to Mike Swift as the president of the Fairham Society, who are going to host the event next year, 2006. And I'm told that it will be on the traditional second weekend in July, as they don't have the problems that we have with a certain small gentleman named Eccleston. Mike.
I'm sorry about the scruff order. May I echo what Brian has said, that I'm sure it will be on the traditional second weekend in July. And any of you that don't know the Fareham track, it's right down on the south coast. It is, and speaking as president, I have to say it's every bit as good as this track. It really is very nice. But there is a weekend at the end of July, a railway weekend, and if you feel like coming down to see the track and find out what the club's all about, you'd be very, very welcome. And can I just finally echo what has been said several times today, what a wonderful weekend the Northampton guys have given us. Thanks ever so much, folks.
Finally, thank you very much to Councillor Sally Beardsworth for coming down and presenting the prizes. We appreciate it very much that she spent the time to come down with us. Thank you everybody. Goodbye.